Now we're going to cross to Moscow, where Sergey Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, has just begun speaking. Let's listen in.
They are all trying to dominate in the West, for example, because they are not ready to use the United Nations resolutions in the very comprehensive meaning of these resolutions. They are considering these resolutions according to their interest, regardless all historic matters. In Ukraine, they talk about the sovereignty and the integrity of terrorism, but at the same time, they are ignoring the United Nations resolutions for peoples to decide their future away from ethnicities or religions. And by the way, these resolutions and these decisions are the ones who used to be ignored by colonialism, and we have no doubt that the future will be with whom. And we can see a lot of countries, and the majorities of the world are now have more or less unified understanding. And the West cannot be unified, and the West cannot concede the selfishness that has prevailed for hundreds of years when the West was dominating and controlling the world. We are sure that it's impossible to have very smart alternatives regarding the direction that will be always for the sake of the country, as said by President, and Russia will be always open to fair dealings with everyone for the benefit of everyone in the economy or in the culture or any other domains. We will always be ready for talks, positive talks with any party. Our priorities in the region are to have good neighborhood with the countries that are very near to our borders. We need the Eurasia to be more stable, and this depends on the bilateral relations between countries and within the independent countries and the other organizations. There are also other types, like our relations with the Eurasian countries 5+1, and within these 5 countries, Iran, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Russia, and last year, when the president talked to the media, he announced and declared that an initiative for establishing a security organization that will maintain security in the Eurasia in a way that is similar to the NATO. We need to safeguard the security of our continent, including the Asian part, and we need to do whatever it takes in order to guarantee stability and the unity of the biggest continent that has the more population, and this is the prospect that must be maintained, particularly in economy. There are unions in Africa and unions in Latin America and other organizations that are trying to unify. In Eurasia, we have OBCA that is based on the Atlantic infrastructure, and there are other organizations in so many other regions. We have the ASEAN and the GCC, and we need an organization that will gather all of us, the countries of this continent, where every country is represented, and we will initiate the development of this organization announced by the president. At the end, we will sign new agreements with our neighbors. We will develop these unions, and at the same time, this is very important, I'd like to remind you of the Belarus and Russia security agreement. that have asked or has asked with North Korea and our cooperation in the military field and the political field and the security agreement within the Shanghai organization, and all in Eurasia are ready to cooperate. We will be happy to meet them all to sign new agreements that are suitable for every one of us. We have an agreement with Iran of this kind. We have an agreement with Belarus in this kind. They have asked for so many summits regarding the security in Eurasia. We are preparing for a map of the world that has so many colors, and this map will be the base of the political attitudes in our continent. The Minsk Summit for Security will be also, the outcome will be also presented there. I have talked about Belarus, and we have priorities with this partner. We will have a defensive international alliance, and we will go in deep into developing the relations between us in every single domain. Also, relations with China is quite important, and our leaders said that these relations will be top of the agenda in an unprecedented way, and the content of these relations will exceed any other classical unions, and we are waiting for the development of our mutual diplomacy with China on the highest level. Mr. Jinping said that he will visit Moscow in a big ceremony on the anniversary of the victory of the World War II, and Mr. Putin will also visit China on the anniversary of the victory on the Japanese occupation. We develop relations with India, which is a strategic partner. We have so many visits. Mr. Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, visited Moscow. We had talks and negotiations which have led to a group of decisions. We work hard to implement and achieve these decisions, and we have dialogue with so many other countries, partner countries, with Iran, with Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. I can't count all countries. In every continent, we have a lot of permanent partners, and this is a big enough number where we reach a strategic position together. Also, there are very strong relations between Russia and Africa. Last year, we had the very first summit between leaders of Russia and Africa. The conference has been based according to a decision that was declared in a previous summit. It was a very fruitful summit. We and the African partners work hard to reach agreements, and both summits, Russia-African summits, were successful. We are planning to have more summits. We will open all the channels, the partnership channels with the African continent, and even after the fall of the Soviet Union, there was cooperation. We haven't stopped relations with the African continent. The relations were reduced for some time because we have other priorities, but now we go back to the evaluation period of our friends in Africa according to what they deserve, because they have been under colonialism for a long time, and we need to do whatever we can in order to boost the relations for the sake of both parties and both sides. Last year also...
That's Sergey Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, addressing the Russian parliament in Moscow. We're going to go to our correspondent in Moscow, Yulia Shapovalova. This all comes after the Kremlin announced a little while ago that Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump could potentially meet as early as this month.
Well, that's right. So at the moment, Sergey Lavrov is speaking at the State Duma, which is the lower house of Russian parliament. And basically, this is just the very early stage of his speech. And at the moment, what we hear, he hasn't actually spoken about Ukraine yet. But of course, we've heard from the Kremlin, from Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, that a very much anticipated meeting between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump may take place before the end of February. But at the same time, it's not 100% because it may also take place later because it needs some sort of preparation, of course. Peskov also said that this very first and very important step, which was made on Tuesday in Riyadh, it has to restore relations with the US to launch peace process in Ukraine, but it's too early to voice any results or conclusions. But the mood here in Russia is quite businesslike.
OK, thank you so much, Yulia. Yulia Shapovalova for us there in Moscow.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.